So Jessica is a colleague, Remax Realtor from Kingston, Ontario. She's also the co-founder of Kingston Animal Rescue in Kingston and is a transplant from other places in Ontario. So we'll chat about that as well. So we're going to be talking about real estate, we'll be talking about animal rescue, and we'll be talking about children's charities as well, including the Children's Miracle Network. So without further ado, because we've already done this once, we'll bring Jessica live on here. Hopefully, let's see. And here we go. And there's Jessica from Kingston. And hopefully everybody can hear her now.
Yes, definitely.
So yes, everybody can hear you. Awesome. So how are you today, Jessica?
I am good. How are you?
I'm much better now. So
yes,
we got a bunch of people jumping back on, so that's great. So in the meantime, I will ask you again. You're not originally from Kingston, Ontario. We've had this discussion before. So whereabouts in Ontario do you hail from, and what brought you to Kingston in the first place? Let's go through that.
Yes. So I'm originally from Newmarket, Ontario, which is a crazy real estate town all on its own. But my parents had a cottage north of Kingston, and we had family here, so I visited quite often. And I always loved my times here, and then when it came to go to university, I went to Queen's University, which I loved because it was historic and beautiful, and it had the lake here, and definitely that drew me. And so when I got here, I fell in love with Kingston even more, and probably knew I never wanted to leave unless I could move to Hawaii, but I want to stay in Canada, so here's where I am.
Well, it's a good second option. There you go.
Yeah, I'll visit, but yeah.
So, I mean, most people know that, in Canada anyway, people up in Canada know that Kingston is the home of the Tragically Hip. So a lot of big events happening there just over the past year with them doing their last tour and ending up in Kingston. But what else is happening in Kingston? So if I'm visiting, I've passed by Kingston a bunch of times. I've been out to Ottawa probably 6 or 7 times in the last 2 years, and I've never actually stopped in Kingston. So if I do decide to stop and go into Kingston, what are the top 2, 3, 4 things that I should do while I'm there?
All right. Well, first of all, definitely stop. You're missing out.
Yes.
Being right between Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, it's only 6 hours to New York. I mean, it's perfect central spot to stop. But yeah, basically, I would recommend definitely checking out the lake. So we have Lake Ontario Park, we have Lemoyne's Point. Those are big, beautiful parks with walking trails along the waterfront. But you can kind of just go downtown, and anywhere along the waterfront, you're going to see beautiful views. If you have a little extra time, I'd even take the Wolfe Island Ferry over to Wolfe Island, which is an amazing little island with a free ferry service, and you can have some food there and just kind of see the area before you come back. Downtown Kingston, we have so many restaurants, all very unique, all delicious. So many talented chefs. I think we definitely have almost more restaurants than we have people, and I think, well, not than people, but than we probably would need, because people are just so excited to keep these businesses going, because we'll go out for food all the time in Kingston. But there's that. There's also a ton of historical stuff you can see. We just have we have prison tours and fun stuff like that. But those are kind of the main things that Kingston's unique for. And then we have a lot of other stuff that's always fun. We have a lot of sports going on all the time. It's actually, because it's a stopway for not just people, but for also shows. We have a lot of events like that at our K-Rock Arena. So we usually have a lot of great music scenes too, which is fun.
So I know you mentioned the restaurant scene. I know in Hamilton that's become a huge thing. With us being about an hour outside of Toronto, we're also a lot less expensive for both residential and commercial spaces. For the restaurants, are they mostly older restaurants? Is it newer restaurants that are opening up? Is it a mix? What kind of stuff's happening there? Because here in Hamilton, there's tons of great old restaurants that have been here for decades. But they're in the last 4 to 5 years, I can probably think of about 15 or 20 different little holes in the walls that have opened up with all kinds of different things. So what's the downtown in Kingston like around there? What's the nightlife like? What's the social scene like? And how's that change when the universities are in session?
Oh, good questions. So definitely we have restaurants that have been here forever. We even have people come back to Kingston. Like they might have met their spouse and they come back here and like, oh, this restaurant's still here. That's great. They do their anniversary there. Because some of them have just this long-standing relationship and reputation. But we're a great little place for unique new places to kind of pop up. So we've had quite a few changes, even in the last year, and even in the other side of town, not just downtown. There's quite a few unique places, and not just your franchise places, but brand new, unique ideas, which are fun. And some of them are hard to find, so you might have to check out TripAdvisor or something to even be able to find what street they're on. But they're usually packed, and they're usually, you know, quite like you said, hole in the wall type places. Mm-hmm. Some of them though, like their parents were in the restaurant industry, and so now they've started their own business, and so they've got a lot of backing and a lot of passion for it. So.
Awesome. So moving to Kingston then, like the real estate market there, I mean, obviously you're a real estate agent there in Kingston with RE/MAX. Mm-hmm. What type of housing am I looking at? Like we mentioned, and we've discussed before, and I having deja vu, I think I just mentioned a little while ago. Like Hamilton's got a mix, right? So where I am, it's the newer area of the city, so it's pretty much suburbia. It's subdivisions with brand new schools and shopping plazas and that kind of thing, but not too far away is the downtown with, you know, century homes or more, like houses that were built in the early 1800s and that sort of thing. So there's a pretty good mix, and then we've got country properties, like because we're just surrounded by a lot of parkland and farms and that sort of thing. If I'm moving to Kingston and I'm talking to you, what are my options as far as different areas to live in, types of housing, all that sort of stuff? I mean, it's a pretty big, wide question, but
no problem.
You're the expert, so I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, so Kingston's a great market because we've got tons of private and public job sectors, keeping the market really stable. And I mean, even last year it went up, I think 8% when it was forecasted to go up by 3%. We have definitely the downtown area is very historic and beautiful, and homes are super unique. We do have a lot of student investment properties that people just keep, and even if they're crazy expensive, they just do well. Like Kingston's got a 0.6, 0.7 was last year vacancy rate. It's the lowest in Ontario. So investors do really well in Kingston. And we also have a ton of suburbia type places as well. New builds was huge last year and continues to be huge. You can really get a ton out of your money here for custom building. But even in between, we've got homes that are 30 to 50 years old that have a lot of potential, and they might be right near a lakefront park. So you have that, but Kingston you can really get across town in about 20 minutes. So it's not a bad commute to even have a little bit of land just outside of town, or live on a lake. Like I know people that live on a lake maybe half an hour away. It's kind of like a cottage dream, but then they still work in Kingston. Right. And you can kind of do anything. Some people live on islands in the summer, and then they just boat to their car and then drive to Kingston. So you've got a lot of really cool options. A lot of people want to invest and retire here, but it's a really good price point for if you have the opportunity to live here, even as a younger family or a younger professional couple or something like that. It's good options, and we've got a lot of new condo development happening as well, which is really exciting. Yeah, a little pushback maybe about that. We'll see. Like it's going to take a little bit longer, as most cities have gone through that already. But it's exciting to kind of be a part of and see. Yeah.
And so, what is the average price point then if you're looking at like a 3-bedroom home or something like that near the downtown or in the newer suburbia type areas? What sort of ballpark are you looking at?
So the average 3-bedroom house in Kingston, in the city, is about $330,000. And custom goes up, downtown goes up, so it depends. Like that would be the average, though. Of
course.
Yeah. Okay.
And are you seeing a lot of people that are like yourself, kind of moving in from outside Kingston, or is it mostly people that have lived there their whole lives? Is it a pretty good mix of all that sort of stuff? Because you've got the university there, and I think we kind of the same thing happens to us because we'll get a bunch of people like yourself in Kingston that will come here to McMaster University, and they'll we have the medical school here too, so they'll stay and do their residency here, and then while they're here, they're like, you know what, man, maybe I'll stick around. It's like there's some nice housing options. I like the city. I'm growing up here. There's good job opportunities. So what's sort of the makeup of the people that live in Kingston?
Yeah, well, that exact scenario happens here all the time. So people, they come in for their residency, they do like a PhD, they do their postdoc, they just go to school here. We have RMC students that do school here, but then they're posted somewhere else. And then we do have a lot of military, so the military will come and go quite often, but they're usually excited to be posted to Kingston because Kingston's so great. Yeah, so they definitely they do move here because of those opportunities, and then they fall in love with it and they stay. We also have people that grew up here that see the opportunity especially for like building small businesses and things like that. There's a lot of support in the community for buying local and supporting your fellow people. But I do find that people grew up in Kingston, they usually hate Kingston. And they're like, oh, it's such a tiny town, and they want to move, and then they move to Ottawa or Toronto or like somewhere else, and they realize how Kingston's actually pretty great. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those cities, but Kingston's got such a great mix of what all big cities offer, but also has that small town feel, whereas you could run into people you get supported, but you also have a lot of that culture and opportunity, which is really exciting.
And I think we kind of say the same thing here in Hamilton, almost exactly what you say. A good friend of mine who's also a realtor here kind of coined the term a couple of years ago when he got interviewed in the paper. It was kind of like, it's a big city when you need it to be, but it's a small neighborhood when you want it to be. So we've got
I like that.
Yeah, so you've got these little neighborhoods all over the place that really have a good community feel to them, and people are really involved. And then you've got, when you need it to be a big city. I mean, Hamilton, the core part of the city is about 350,000 people. And then when you include like the outlying communities that were amalgamated about 10 years ago, we're about 550,000. So a lot of people, a lot of density, a lot larger than Kingston, but I think the overall makeup seems to be the same. We just happen to have like maybe more of it here in Hamilton, I guess.
Well, we have the lake that borders, so like we grow this way and you can kind of grow out, so it's kind of different that way, but sounds really similar though.
Yeah, and the same with us on the north end of the city. We border Lake Ontario. We're a port town, like we built on steel mills, and then we're growing south, and then that's pretty much it. That's where we get to go because we're kind of boxed in otherwise. But yeah, I think we're kind of going through the same we're getting a lot of condo development downtown now, which is a bit of a mixed bag. It's something that's probably very well needed, but at the same time, people are like, we don't really want to change the skyline of Hamilton, which
it's very similar to what people say here.
Yeah,
so,
I've born and raised here, and I love the city, and I probably live here most of the rest of my life, if not all of it. And I like the skyline of the city, but it's not Manhattan. It's not that interesting. If we had a few extra taller buildings for condos, I think we'd be okay. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So, but to switch gears completely here, I mean, once you got to Kingston, I mean, you're the co-founder of the Kingston Animal Rescue. I mean, I'm presuming that comes from just a general love of animals. I mean, that's pretty straightforward, I guess. But what kind of motivated you, I guess, to take it to that level, to kind of get in and to organize and to really start getting people together to help in this way?
So I mean, definitely came from a love of animals, growing up loving animals, and I ended up just wanting to volunteer my time, and I started to volunteer my time at the local shelter, and that was really great, but they definitely had a need for this separate rescue, and they kept asking me when I'm going to start this rescue. When am I going to start this rescue? And I thought, what are you, crazy? Like, I can't start a charity. That's obviously a lot of work. But I ended up just talking to a couple other people that had smaller rescues, and I met a couple of amazing people that were able to kind of co-found it with me, and I kind of just went with, okay, well, here are all the answers. Maybe this is just a thing that needs to happen, and I'm just going to see if there's community support, if there's, a way to get funds for fundraising, if there's going to get foster homes, because we are all foster home based. We don't have a facility. So obviously, like, we need other people to be involved in this. And I just didn't find any barriers that really was like, no, you can't do this. So I just kind of kept positive about it and thought like, okay, well, this is a need and it's going to be a lot of work. And it was. I mean, this started in 2010 and it's been hundreds and hundreds of animals rescued, which is a ton of work, and so rewarding in so many ways. But it was just that need and kind of pursuing that with the idea that it's not just me in this, and we've got this community, and people are putting in effort to make this happen. And so unless there's something very severe that's going to stop us, we're just going to do it, I guess. So a little crazy, but definitely was a need that was out there that I just wanted to help with.
Absolutely. So again, like you mentioned, it doesn't have like a physical like building or facility or anything like that. So you've got basically community volunteers.
Yeah.
How is it structured? Is it based like a Facebook group or a website? I mean, if somebody kind of was thinking, hey, you know what? That's a really good idea. I've kind of been thinking about doing this in my community, and obviously you started at the shelter, the local shelter, which I'm presuming is a great place to start. We've got some resources there, and obviously attracts other people, like-minded people who want to help, kind of thing. Do you have any advice, or could you give any tips to like getting started? And how would somebody, if I wanted to do that in Hamilton, out here in Bimbrook, what's the first like 2 or 3 or the most important things I should keep in mind when I'm getting started?
I think anybody that wants to start a charity should definitely go for it and see what they can do. Because you can always start small and grow bigger. I would say you can also start as an organization and become a charity later. But I definitely had the advantage of we were working with Queen's University has a free law clinic in that they help people do these things, and it helps their law students learn. So they helped us really set that up. I met a bunch of great people, and I think you have to understand that it's a huge undertaking, and you need people that are committed and passionate just as much. And like my co-founders, my other volunteers, the foster homes, I needed willing vet clinics. So it was just about making sure that community support was there, because if you can't do it all on your own, there's no way you're going to get anywhere. So I think banding together and having a group, we do everything basically by email and online because we don't have that facility, and it's a lot of management of it, but something like Google Sheets really helps us out sometimes and things like that, right? But,
and then I guess the day-to-day kind of thing, right? So you do have foster homes, so you've got people who volunteer to help take care of the animals that need rescue, and you've got I threw a few pictures up there a little while ago, but I mean you've had everything from rabbits to dogs and hedgehogs and all kinds of different things. So how do you, I guess, get in touch with the people? I mean, through the shelters, I guess, is a good way. And is it like, how involved is it? I mean, is there like a vetting process for people, or is it like, or do you just keep track of them and follow up with them and say, hey, how are things going? And then kind of try and find homes for the animals at some point and that sort of thing. Like, what's a day-to-day like if you spent the day doing this? Like, I have, because I'm completely clueless. I know a couple of people here in the Bimbrook community that are involved with specifically with rehabilitating dogs that go through rescue programs. But from the organization sort of management side of it, I'm lost. I wouldn't know where to start. So what would a typical sort of day look like doing that sort of thing?
It definitely started as a lot. It started with like one rabbit or 2 rats, and now we average about 40 or 50 foster homes and animals at any time. But I would say our average day would be mostly just management of vet appointments, because vet care is the biggest thing that we work on. We usually get animals that aren't doing well, and that's why our costs are so high. Like our average costs, I guess, would be $40,000-$50,000 a year that we have to fundraise.
Sure.
So a big part of it is fundraising. Like we work really hard to try and raise that money, because if we don't have that money, it's not like we have credit cards that we would put into this. If we don't have that money, we can't help those animals. So we put on events year round, and so we're planning those events. We're getting volunteers to help with that. Foster homes, we're setting them up, getting the animals to the vet, getting out those supplies, answering their questions. But we also, so for foster homes, we're very willing. It's not very hard to become a foster home for us. I mean, you have to just have a space, basically, and we provide all the setup supplies. And but then for adopting, we're very strict because we want people to keep that animal forever, and we want to adopt them out and not have them be returned. So it's about kind of being a bit more strict on that end. Just, I mean, like you would for any job interview or tenant application, you want that to work out. And so we're not trying to just hand off the animals as fast as possible because we want the best for the animal. But yeah, so a lot of it is just fundraising, managing foster homes, managing adoptions, and we also manage all the volunteers and do the accounting and do the marketing. And it is 100% volunteer run, so it is kind of a ton of tasks divided amongst a number of people, and it is pretty involved for sure. It can be very busy. I know our first main year, or one of our first years, we did 52 events or something like that, or 56 or something like that. It was in the 50s, and I mean, that's one a week, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
that's very busy, and it wasn't always a successful event, but we had to try things to get this money to be able to help and to spread awareness and stuff like that as well. But I mean, another thing I was going to say I didn't mention before, but if you do come to Kingston, you should stop at the Southpaw Cat Cafe, because we have a ton of our own adoptable animals there. So all the animals there, all the cats there, are our cats, and Scott runs a great facility there. We can sit down, have a coffee, and visit with these cats that are waiting for their forever home.
Nice, that's awesome. And we've got a few little places like that have popped up here in Hamilton too. There's my Dog's Cafe. It's down in the West End here, so there's very dog friendly little cafe, and I'm sure they let other pets in too, but mostly dogs. And there seem to be, I think the communities in general, especially when you get into the older parts of the city, not so much in the suburbs, have that sort of more community involvement, being more involved in the community in general type feel to them. So you're starting to see these places pop up, and animal rescues and people just wanting to make things better, I think. And I think amongst the people that I'm interviewing, yourself and other people that I've had on the show, the criteria that the loose criteria I kind of have in the back of my head when I'm trying to figure out who I'd like to talk to, because really that's all I'm doing is looking across the country. It's mostly real estate agents so far, but I'm just looking for people that are really involved in the community like you are, and that have maybe an interesting story to tell. And it's not hard to find people, because just everybody, I think the consciousness in general, people just seem to realize that, we can do things. And I think the internet helps, of course, and social media helps us all get connected and actually make a difference in the communities that we're in. So keeping along those lines, I mean, I know you're also involved in a lot of local children's charities, and you have your own family story to tell about that. So I'll let you take it away. I know you and your husband Dan live there in Kingston with your little son Lachlan. And how did you get? Were you involved with children's charities before, or was it as a result of some of the issues you've had with your family that kind of pulled you in that direction? Or, I mean, 'cause everybody has sort of a different... the intentions are all the same, but everybody has a different way in, I guess, is the best way to look at it. So, I mean, what's your story, basically, is that?
So I mean, I've always been a supporter of children's charities. My sister was in Sick Kids when she was younger. Everything was fine because she just was well taken care of. And through REMAX, we support Children's Miracle Network. So we do lots of fun stuff for that to try and raise money. And the stories that people say coming out of those children's hospitals are so amazing, that these kids are so brave, and it's such a pleasure to fundraise for them. And here in Kingston, we do have we don't have a children's hospital specifically, but we do have a lot of little niche people and communities and groups that are working to help kids. And so recently I did a run walk to help fundraise money for Kids Inclusive, which is a child development center here in Kingston. And that's because they don't really have a huge number of people like really fundraising for them. Although they're connected with the hospital, sometimes it's nice for them to have a little extra money to be able to get more specialized equipment or that sort of thing without having to apply for grants or whatever it takes. They're really hardworking people that care, and my son, he's got some disabilities that they've been really great about, and they've got all these great ideas, and they have him kind of working with all the people there. So I think just being involved in that, I've kind of, like through my own story as well, I think I got involved. I would maybe have gotten involved with them at some point anyway, because it is a passion of mine, but this definitely led me to it soon because I've been so involved on a personal level. But knowing that there's like I have resources and I do my own research and I do all these things, but I can't imagine if somebody needed those things and they weren't there. So it's such a hard thing to go through, that to have that support from this team of people. Like specifically the Run Walk was for Kids Inclusive, which they have a team, like a physiotherapist, they have occupational therapists, they have feeding clinics, they have a doctor, they have a social worker. So they've got this group of people, and they work really hard to try and make your those kids' lives so much better. So that's always an amazing thing. And when we were at the Run Walk, it was just the other weekend, it was 0 degrees, but these kids had a blast. Like they actually run a 1K on their own, and then there's a 5K and a 10K for very good runners. But like just the kids just love to do this, and it's a really great message for other kids too, to not only be active but to be informed of these causes and be out there. I mean, it's amazing if people just give a little bit, whether it's their time or if it's their money. It's amazing what we can do. So
yeah, and I think that's part of the. I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head there too. Is that getting them involved, and it kind of just raises awareness, I think. And a lot of people kind of maybe don't understand, and I've had people ask me this question as well. When we get involved in these larger charity events, so we'll have like a barbecue for Children's Miracle Network. I know locally we have like a lot of walks or runs for breast cancer research and all that sort of stuff. And there is some money involved in organizing and getting these things going. But the spin-off benefit that I think most people don't really realize, it's like, they'll say, why don't you just give the money to charity and not do this event kind of thing? And it's like having these public events just raises awareness so that more people like yourself and other people in the community or the kids can kind of see this as an example going forward. And once they realize, like, oh hey, there's just this group I could be involved in and I could help out, and it just attracts more people. So that raising the awareness is probably I wouldn't say necessarily equally as important as getting the money for donations to actually help, but it's right up there though, I think. And just putting yourself out there in the community and being involved is just an amazing thing, I think. I mean, I appreciate the fact that you do this. I'm a Children's Miracle Network member. I talk about it all the time about the Miracle Home program. I sort of learned through my friend Bruce Johnson in Wasaga Beach. Which I mention him every time I mention Children's Miracle Network because. But
you kind of have to, right?
Yeah, and you can't not mention Bruce when you talk about CMN.
Of course.
It's just they go hand in hand, and basically, if you are a RE/MAX agent, and if you are any other real estate agent as well, you should donate as well. But specifically, if you're a RE/MAX agent and you're not part of the Miracle Home program, I am telling you right now, I am looking in the camera and telling you right now that you should be. It's the easiest way for you to help your community. It's just talk to your office administrator. They'll set you up, and the spin-off from that, and just the community that we have, people like Jessica, people like myself and Bruce, right across Canada, United States, the networking opportunities there, just to be with like-minded people that want to help their community is just absolutely amazing. So if you're not a member yet, please be a member. If you are, double up if you can, do all that sort of stuff. I will chastise anybody, and I will just harass people until they join. I don't care. Whatever makes it work.
Well, honestly, it's an amazing program because I think people will say they'll donate. We get this all the time with the animal rescue. Like, everyone wants to support, they want to support, but they don't always even remember to support, and they don't always make that extra effort, even if it's just clicking a button and donating. So I think having events or like having the Children's Miracle Network home program is just an amazing way to collect funds for something. So it really is
pretty
like
much
it's
automatically too, right? Because once you're set up on the program, and for people that don't know, for Jessica, for myself, for anybody who's part of the Miracle Home program, anytime we help someone either buy or sell a house, there's an automatic donation made to the Children's Miracle Network. That's it. You decide the amount at the beginning of the year, depending on what your income level is and what you can afford to donate and that sort of thing. And every time you do it, it just automatically gets donated. You get a tax receipt at the end of the year, and it's something that you don't even really have to think about. It's almost like, a lot of companies have RSP contributions that just come off their paychecks. This is the same idea, but it goes to charity, and you get a charity receipt at the end of the year that you can use for your taxes. It's just, I feel, and I tell everybody about it that I can think of, whether I'm talking to people, when they're asking me what I do as far as being involved in the community goes, aside from everything else, that's one of the more important things. And I tell people that are going to be my clients, I'm like, look, you're helping me help children's hospitals, specifically the money stays local. So for me, they're helping me help McMaster Children's Hospital here, and some of the people in my brokerage in Burlington donate to Sick Kids in Toronto. Where does do you know where the funds? I'm assuming you do. Where the funds for your?
I'm pretty sure it goes to CHEO. That's
right.
The Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario in Ottawa.
That's what I figured,
And I was actually just there last weekend for my son, who is fine. But I was there for the first time, and it was it's an amazing hospital. Kids, obviously, it's a scary thing to have a kid be sick, and they're scared, and they don't know what's going on. But, I mean, even the waiting rooms there are dimly lit, and they have kids' toys, and it's just way less scary than a regular hospital that even scares us, right? So the fact that they're there and they're trained to work with kids, and they work on getting those wait times so that they're not that long, because they know they've got these urgent matters. But it's a great hospital. I know Sick Kids is great. It sounds like the Hamilton one is great. But it's I don't know. I think it's I don't know, either many, many millions, or I don't know how much money has been raised through that, but it's an amount of money that would not have been nearly that much without that program.
Yeah, in Canada, it's in the tens of millions at this point. I forget the exact number, but it's fairly huge. And in Canada, and I'll put it out there to my U.S. Remax friends. In Canada, per capita, per agent, we actually raise more money for CMN than the Americans do. So time to step up there, my American friends. Let's go. Let's you're donating to your local children's hospital, and I was always involved as well, even prior to having kids. I mean, I donated to McMaster Children's Hospital, but then same as you, when my children were first born. Fortunately, it wasn't any serious issues, but they did spend time in the neonatal intensive care unit and in the McMaster Children's Hospital and that sort of thing. And again, when you actually step into McMaster Children's Hospital or CHEO or Stollery out in Edmonton and all these different places, or Sick Kids Hospital in downtown Toronto, it's a different atmosphere altogether than an actual regular adult hospital. And just the dedication of the people that are there, doctors and nurses and administrative staff, and the way the hospitals are designed to facilitate healing for the children, just make them happy, make them kind of easier for them to rest and relax and get better. It's a completely different thing, and such an amazing thing that we can support with relatively minimal effort. And I think that's what really gets me. So I appreciate you being a part of it. I thank you so much. And anybody else who's up there that does it and supports us, I really appreciate you helping us out. We're going to kind of wrap it up a little bit because we're getting a bit long. But I did have this picture up before. I'm going to put it up again if I can get it up there. And it's you and your son, and you're Ariel, I think. And he's a lobster, which is always good. I had to put it up because one of the other things that I poke around and I ask people, like, who should I have on the show, who should I talk to and stuff, and you came up because you had a Game of Thrones outfit at one point. So I'm the geeky agent. We're into like comic books and pop culture and all that kind of stuff. So when I heard, I'm going to refer to you as a cosplayer because you're doing this costume thing at like
I've done a
higher level than just the average going out to the store and buying a costume. So you are you are an honorary cosplayer. I will do that for you.
Well, I would count it. I definitely take it to every detail. Usually, I know I've done Daenerys and I did Harley Quinn one year, and I think it's super fun. I'm probably the geekiest agent in Kingston, to be honest. I don't know anyone else that grew up on video games and is super into tech, which really helps my clients and everything as well, and my business. Makes it way easier with tech. But it's fun too. Like, I've played Magic and D&D and all sorts of fun stuff. So definitely the geekiest over here, I think.
Well, then I may have to talk to you after the broadcast, because I have a little group called the League of Real Estate Geeks, which maybe you might be a good candidate for. We'll see. There is a test.
With me, I'll pass your test.
There's a test and an initiation protocol that we have to go through, but we'll chat. We'll definitely chat though. So. Basically that's around it. I mean, I think I'm trying to do these interviews. It's just really casual, just get to know everybody that I find interesting, pretty much across Canada, United States, mostly in real estate, but pretty much anybody. I really do appreciate you coming on. What else, is there anything else people should know about Kingston or what's happening there? How do we best get in contact with you if there's agents that want to refer clients to you, or if there's people thinking about coming to Kingston? Like, what's your website? What's the easiest way to get in touch with you?
Oh, geez. Yeah, well, any online thing, definitely, I'm synced all the time. But my Facebook page, / Jessica Hellard Real Estate, my website, jessicahellard.com, or just message me on Facebook. I definitely am easy to get a hold of that way. But if you're interested in Kingston, or you have people coming to Kingston, don't worry, they're going to love it. And visit in the summer and go downtown, and you'll get that vibe, and you'll understand what I'm talking about.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jessica. I really do appreciate it again. Hopefully we'll have a chance at some point to chat again. And next time I'm on the way to Ottawa, I will stop off and say hi. Well,
let me know, and we'll take you out for coffee.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Well, you have a great rest of the day, and I will we'll chat again soon. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye, Tony.
Bye now. That was my friend Jessica Hellard out in Kingston, Ontario. I am just going to try and mute her here so that in case she sneezes or something, you won't hear her. So we're all good now. And that was awesome. So I thank you all for tuning in. If you have anybody that you know that you think might be a great guest for this show, somebody who's doing some awesome stuff in your community, or just some really interesting, funky type stuff, please feel free to let me know. I'd love to know who it is that you know and bring them on here, shine the spotlight on them, and let everybody else get to know them too. So again, it is a awesome Friday the 13th afternoon here in Binbrook. I am Tony, and I am the Geeky Agent for here in Hamilton. This is Remax Geek TV, or at least my version of it. I do appreciate you tuning in. If you are looking for me online, you can find me on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. That's where the majority of my content is and where I spend most of my time online. But I'm also available on Snapchat, Twitter, Pinterest, and Tumblr as well. If you need to contact me directly, please feel free to text or call me at 289-237-9896, or you can email me, tony@thegeekyagent.com. And having said that, you can also go to my website, thegeekyagent.com, or hamiltonlifestylesearch.com if you are looking for a home in the Hamilton area. Again, I really do appreciate you guys tuning in. The fact that you guys are here listening and sending me your comments and all that kind of stuff makes this as much fun as it is and makes me want to keep doing it. So I really do appreciate you. I love you all to death. I really, really do. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of the day. And until next time, I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.